Oh, there you are. Good evening. My name is Dutch Walker. Perhaps you've heard of me. Watoga Cinema and Studio B? Yes? No, maybe not. Okay, well, no worries. Anyway, I was told that, if I was interested in learning more about Shakespearean sonnets, that you might be one to talk to. Is that correct?
Correct. I am iambic pentameter.
Okay, yes, that's great. I do have to admit, a sonnet is something new for me. I'm used more to really that flashbang theater, glitz and glam. And well, if I'm being honest, I am having a bit of trouble finding my voice with these sonnets. It's like the sonnets are smarter than me or something. Does that make sense?
You can read the sonnet however you like, but if you get lost, remember me. 10 syllables with an emphasis on every second one. Shakespeare's sonnets are about love, time, passion, and human emotion. Find a place where you can reflect on your sonnet and what it means to you. Find a place of peace and inspiration. Good luck.
Okay, that makes sense. So you think finding a place that brings me inspiration and peace. I suppose that should be no problem. After all, take a look around. You couldn't find more peace and inspiration than what we see here. Perhaps, good robot, I'll take your advice, and let me see what I can come up with. Goodbye, Mr. Robot. You've been very helpful. Thank you. My God, I feel like I've been walking for 50 years. Swan Theater. This has to be it. Is there anybody home? Hello? Anybody here? So this is where it all takes place. I don't know if I'm ready. Ladies and gentlemen, I present your host, Northern Harvest.
Welcome to the Wasteland Theater Company's Shakespeare Sonnet Festival. I am your host, Eric Smalls, proprietor of the theater company, and I invite you all here to our glorious Swan Theater. I want to take a moment to thank the 5-0 responders in the Watoga Cinema, the phenomenal Dutch, for promoting and producing our event tonight, and to resources long gone, like Shakespeare in the Ruins and the Folger Shakespeare Library, both now ash and dust of a time past. I remind those in the theater to please silence yourselves until it is your time to speak. We also have security posted outside the theater in case of interruption. I ask theater goers inside not to draw your weapons and rush out. Keep to your seats, it is under control. This is the first reading of Shakespeare's sonnets here in our post-nuclear apocalyptic West Virginia, and I am honored to have such fine readers of poetry as yourselves. Shakespeare's 154 sonnets speak to us across hundreds of years. They touch our very souls and connect us with a past gone, a present ready, and a future to behold. Time, love, passion, death, all these we know well. And while Shakespeare may not have wrote about our present condition, living in the wasteland of a nuclear apocalypse, fighting every day for survival with threats of human and nature kind, it is these sonnets that we capture a glimpse of our humanity. Tonight, we have readers from a range of backgrounds. Some have submitted their sonnets in advance on a holotape, which you can access on your Pip-Boys at the appropriate times in our schedule. Others will be read here live in the theater. We will alternate between a live reading and a Pip-Boy reading. I will begin our Sonnet Festival without further ado with Sonnet 129. This sonnet reflects the danger of lust, but here in the wasteland we are plagued by another deadly sin, as bloodlust, the violence that ends our humanity, a trap that ensnares us in our struggle over each other's survival. I hope Sonnet 129 will remind us of how pervasive, tempting, and dangerous this damned violence is. Sonnet 129. The expense of spirit in a waste of shame is lust in action. Until action, lust is perjured, murderous, bloody, full of blame, savage, extreme, rude, cruel, not to trust, enjoyed no sooner but despised straight, past reason hunted, and no sooner had past reason hated, as a swallowed bait on purpose laid to make the taker mad. Mad in pursuit and in possession so, had, having, and in quest to have extreme. A bliss in proof and proved a very woe. Before, a joy proposed, behind, a dream. All this the world well knows, yet none knows well to shun the heaven that leads men to this hell. Our next sonnet reader is the amazing Jessica Starr reading Sonnet 60. Please tune in to your Pip-Boy now for this holotape recording.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. My name is Jessica Starr, and I'll be reading Sonnet 60 by William Shakespeare. Like as the waves make toward the pebbled shore, so do our minutes hasten to their end, each changing place with that which goes before. In sequent toil all forwards do contend. Nativity, once in the main of light, crawls to maturity, wherewith being crowned, crooked eclipses 'gainst his glory fight, and time that gave doth now his gift confound. Time doth transfix the flourish set on youth, and delves the parallels in beauty's brow, feeds on the rarities of nature's truth, and nothing stands but for his scythe to mow. And yet to times in hope my verse shall stand, praising thy worth, despite his cruel hand. Sonnet 60 by William Shakespeare.
A beautiful sonnet that stands the test of time. Our next sonnet will be read here live in the Swan Theater. I welcome up the Void Maiden to read Sonnet 34.
Thank you very much. I chose Sonnet 34 because I think when I was reading it, it felt almost like Shakespeare lived here in the wasteland and was writing to the wasteland, because it's very bittersweet to live here because you love it, but it's very treacherous. So let's get right into it. Sonnet 34. Why didst thou promise such a beauteous day, and make me travel forth without my cloak, to let base clouds o'ertake me in my way, hiding thy bravery in their rotten smoke. 'Tis not enough that thou the cloud break, to dry the rain on my storm-beaten face, for no man well of such salve can speak, that heals the wound and cures not the disgrace. Nor can the shame give physique to my grief, though thou repent, yet I still feel the loss. The offender's sorrow lends but weak relief to him that bears the strong offence's cross. Ah, but those tears of pearls which thy love sheds, and they are rich in ransom all ill deeds.
Thank you, Void Maiden.
Thank
What
you.
a beautiful sonnet, and we thank you for coming out to our theater today in this historic event. Beautifully done. We next move back to the Pit Boys for an audio recording from Fenwa reading Sonnet number 8.
Music to hear. Why hearest thou music sadly? Sweets with sweets war not, joy delights in joy. Why lovest thou that which thou receivest not gladly, or else receivest with pleasure thine annoy? If the true concord of well-tuned sounds, by unions married, do offend thine ear, they do but sweetly chide thee, who confounds in singleness the parts that thou shouldst bear. Mark how one string, sweet husband to another, strikes each in each by mutual ordering, resembling sire and child and happy mother, who, all in one pleasing note do sing, whose speechless song, being many, seeming one, sings this to thee, thou single wilt prove none.
Yeah, Music of Delight is a true poet fan. Thank you for submitting your sonnet to our festival. We return to our theater for Lemus, the designer of our beautiful theaters, everything you see here, and the true inspiration for the theater company. He will read Sonnet 116, a favorite sonnet of the Wasteland, as you will see.
Sonnet 116. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when in alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark, that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth unknown, although his height be taken, within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out, even to the edge of doom. If this be error upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved.
We thank you, Lemus. How genuine and beautiful. We now return to our Pit Boys to hear a reading of Sonnet 2 from Don McCormick.
When 40 winters shall besiege thy brow and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field, thy youth's proud livery, so gazed on now, will be a tattered weed of small worth held. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, where all the treasure of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep sunken eyes were an all-eating shame and thriftless praise. How much more praise deserved thy beauty's use, if thou couldst answer, this fair child of mine shall sum my count and make my old excuse. proving his beauty by succession thine. This were to be new made when thou art old, and see thy blood warm when thou feel'st it cold.
We thank you, Don. A chilling sonnet that makes one think. Is the fair child a human child? Or is it representative of our need today to rebirth humanity, to build a future in a stark world? We return to our theater. Let us hear from Meeks to build the beautiful Sonnet 18.
This is Meeks, and this is Sonnet 18. Shall I conquer? Shall I compare thee to the summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature changing's course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou growest. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal line to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long this lives, and this gives life to thee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meeks. Beautifully read. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? When I hear that sonnet, I admittedly think of the atomic blast. It speaks to me in such a way that I never thought before. This is the beauty of our Sonnet Festival, that every sonnet speaks to each one of us in a different way, in a meaningful way in our environment here. Please now tune in to your Pip-Boy to hear another rendition of our beloved Sonnet 116, this time from the talented Vitriol Plays.
If there be nothing new, but that which is, hath been before, how are our brains beguiled? Which laboring for invention bear amiss that second burthen of a former child? Oh, that record could with a backward look, even of 500 courses of the sun, show me your image in some antique book, since mine at first in character was done, that I might see what the old world could say to this composed wonder of your frame, whether we are mended, or where better they, or whether revolution be the same. Oh, sure I am the wits of former days, to subjects worse, have given admiring praise.
Well, thank you, Vitriol Plays. I am drawn to Sonnet 116 as well, and find it of interest that not 2, but 3 Wastelanders have been moved to this sonnet. I do wonder, is Sonnet 116 the poem of the Wastelander? What is it about 116 that captures us here in Appalachia? We move back to our theater for 2 readings. The first will be a Scald, reading Sonnet 122.
Sonnet 122. Thy gift, thy tables, are within my brain full charactered with lasting memory, which shall above that idle rank remain beyond all date, even to eternity, or, at the least, not so long as brain and heart have faculty by nature to subsist, till each to raised oblivion yield his part of thee, thy record never can be missed. That poor retention could not so much hold, nor need I tallies thy dear love to score. Therefore, to give them from me was I bold, to trust those tables that receive thee more, to keep an adjunct to remember thee, or to import forgetfulness in me. Sonnet 122.
Well, thank you, Skald, for a thought-provoking and personal sonnet. I will read our next sonnet, Sonnet 29, and I hear gunfire outside of the theater and remind all theater-goers that we do have security posted outside taking care of any super mutants or whatever else may try to interrupt our show. Ah, the sound of music. I will read our next sonnet, Sonnet 29. This sonnet in particular I dedicate to our dearest theater company friend, Mama Gator, with the hope that these words ring happiness true. Sonnet 29. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and my cursed fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented last. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, happily I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. We return now to our Pip Boys for Sonnet 116 again, the Wasteland's sonnet, read by the one and only Ice Empress 66.
Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. No, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is a star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, nor rosy lips and cheeks, within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks. It bears it out, even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor man ever loved.
So beautiful, passionate, and captivating, story of Max. I thank you, Ice Empress. I am truly moved. Next, live in our theater, we have the theater company's own Hammerlane, reading Sonnet 57. Hammerlane, we invite you to the stage.
Oh, I am so red-faced. I did not change clothes before I got here.
You look phenomenal.
I did not know that me and Voidy were going to be wearing the same outfit.
A matching pair.
So, well, I had to take not one shot of liquid courage, but two. So, I'm gonna be looking for Earl to die after this. I am doing Sonnet 57. So, being your slave, what should I do but tend upon the hours and times of your desire? I have no precious time at all to spend, nor services to do till ye require. Nor dare I chide the world without end hour, whilst I, my sovereign, watch the clock for you, nor think the bitterness of absence sour, when you have bid your servant once adieu. Nor dare I question my jealous thoughts, where you may be, or your affairs suppose, but like a sad slave stay and think of naught, save where you are, how happy you make those. So true of love, see I messed up. So true of full is love, that in your will, though you do anything, he thinks no ill.
Thank you, Hammer. We are so proud of you, Hammer, for the bravery and commitment to that sonnet. You may have drunk some liquid courage beforehand, but we'll be popping champagne after the show together. Our next sonnet here in the theater is Sonnet 106, read by Reticent Duet, our very own Macbeth. I'm going to call you up to the stage.
When in the chronicle of wasted time I see descriptions of the fairest wights, and beauty making beautiful old rhyme in praise of ladies dead and lovely knights, then in the blazon of sweet beauty's best, of hand, of foot, of lip, of eye, of brow, I see their antique pen would have expressed even such a beauty as you master now. So all their praises are but prophecies of this, our time, all you prefiguring. And, for they looked but with divining eyes, they had not skill enough your worth to sing. For we, which now behold these present days, have eyes to wonder, but lack tongues to praise.
Well, thank you, Reticent Duet. I cannot get over that voice. It's chilling to the core, but moving. There's something in that voice that screams Wasteland, but still whispers Shakespeare. Our final Pip-Boy recording is Rachel Cerullo reading Sonnet 35. So we'll move to our Pip-Boys.
No more be grieved at that which thou hast done. Roses have thorns, and silver fountains mud. Clouds and eclipses stain both moon and sun, and loathsome canker lives in sweetest bud. All men make faults, and even I in this, authorizing thy trespass with compare, myself corrupting, salving thy amiss, excusing thy sins more than thy sins are. For to thy sensual fault I bring in sense. Thy adverse party is thy advocate, and 'gainst myself a lawful plea commence. Such civil war is in my love and hate, that I an accessory needs must be to that sweet thief which sourly robs from me.
Thank you, Rachel, for submitting such a powerful piece. Finishing off our Sonnet Festival is one of my personal favorites, Sonnet 30, read by the one and only Gamer Girl.
Thank you. I chose Sonnet 30 because I think it'll speak to a lot of us and everything that has been lost over the last few years. Sonnet 30. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of fore bemoaned moan, which I knew pay as if not paid before. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored, and sorrows end. Sonnet 30.
Well, thank you, Gamer Girl. I can't think of a better way to end our Sonnet Festival than with those particular words of Shakespeare himself. I thank you for delivering them so powerfully for all of us to sit and think upon. I thank you all for joining us in this historic, first ever Shakespeare Sonnet Festival in post-nuclear apocalyptic West Virginia. And as Gamer Girl so beautifully read, we hope that with our festival, all losses are restored and sorrows end. I want to thank everybody for coming and delivering your sonnets, both by Pip-Boy and here in the theater. And once again, thank the wonderful Dutch for helping to produce this amazing show for us today. I bid you all a good night. Thank you.
Farewell, thou art too dear for my possessing, and like enough thou know'st thy estimate. The charter of thy worth gives thee releasing. My bonds in thee are all determinate. For how do I hold thee, but by thy granting? And for that riches where is my deserving? The cause of this fair gift in me is wanting. And so my patent back again is swerving. Thyself thou gav'st thy own worth, then not knowing. Or me, to whom thou giv'st else, mistaking? So thy great gift upon misprison growing, comes home again, on better judgment making. Thus have I had thee as a dream doth flatter, in sleep a king, but waking no much matter. Okay. Sonnet 87. Not so bad. Dutch Walker. Signing off.